Good day everyone. So today we will be discussing water survival. Introduction. One of the most common risks when engaging in any sort of water activity is drowning. Drowning is the process of experiencing respiratory impairment from submersion immersion in liquid. Outcomes may often result in death. Drowning is the fourth leading cause of death among children aged 1 to 4 years old and third leading cause of death among children under the age bracket of 5 to 14 years old. Annual drowning death tolls spike up to 300,000 annually. Most victims are children. The trend of drowning deaths largely spike in low and middle income countries. Learning water survival skills is imperative to ensure safety and survival in case of emergency situation.
Drowning, so it means it is the common cause of death, especially among children. It happens quickly and silently, making prevention crucial. We need to understand the risk, things like poor supervision, weak swimming skills, and dangerous water conditions. And we also need to teach people essential water safety. So this means that better education and readily available resources to encourage safe behavior around water. Giving people the knowledge and skills to protect themselves and others is vital. Our ongoing reporting will explore this further, providing a deeper understanding of water survival and how we can improve safety.
Hello, my name is Luis Tawalantabag and I'll be explaining risk factors. Una po sa lahat, ano po yung risk? Risk is the possibility of something negative happening, often involving a chance of loss, harm, or damage. Kumbaga sa risk po, meron po kasing uncertainty na hindi po tayo sigurado sa mga bagay na pwedeng mangyari. So number one po is yung age. Young children are at high risk due to an undeveloped capacity to assess risk and lack of water safety skills. So, syempre, mas bata, kapag bata ka po is they're more prone to making dumb decisions kasi hindi pa po nila alam kung ano yung mga pwedeng mangyari kapag nagkamali ka in bodies of water. Number 2 is sex. Drowning death rate of males is more than twice as high as females. Ito po is just because of, sabihin nating ego, kasi yung mga lalaki is mas gusto nila ng mas malalim, mas dangerous, mas exciting, ganun. Poverty and equality. The pattern of daily exposure in lower and middle income countries brings a higher risk of drowning. Kasi nga po, yun nga, dahil mahirap, wala silang proper educational para malaman yung tama at mali. Occupational exposure. Individuals with occupations such as a commercial or subsistence fishing face a substantially higher risk of drowning. Kasi nga po, dahil kumbaga trabaho na nila yun everyday. So parang araw-araw nagre-risk sila if maganda yung panahon or hindi. Dahil sa waves, ganun. Climate-related risk. Drowning accidents for 75% of deaths in flood disasters. So, kumbaga, sa climate-related risk po, syempre, pwedeng magkaroon ng typhoon, ganun, or tsunami galing sa earthquake. So, yun po yung risk na pwede mag-drown sila kasi magiging pangit po yung waves dun sa water, magiging masama po. Magiging mataas yung waves. So, the last one is transport on water. Traveling on water, particularly in dangerous weather conditions or without appropriate safety equipment, can increase drowning risk. So, syempre, hindi naman po porket nagta-transport tayo sa tubig, gamit ang barko, it means na okay na po siya, na safe na po tayo. Kasi hindi pa po natin alam kung, ayun na nga po, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, is kapag meron pong bagyo, typhoon, big currents and waves, ganun. Tapos syempre po, yung sa huli, yung safety, kailangan lagi po merong life jacket or flotation devices.
Preventive measures or yung mga hakbang sa pag-iwas sa maaaring maging problema sa ating pagsiswimming. Una na po dito yung take swimming lesson from a qualified instructor if you're not strong and competent swimmer. Dito naman po kung hindi tayo marunong lumangoy then gusto natin matutong lumangoy, kailangan natin magpaturo sa qualified instructor para sigurado po tayo sa matutunan nating way and alam din po natin na safe yung ginagawa natin. Pangalawa po, don't swim if you're not been drinking alcohol. Alam naman po natin yung effect ng alcohol sa katawan ng tao. So, pag nag-swimming po tayo na nakainom, maaari po itong mag-resulta ng problema. Pangatlo po, don't swim alone or let others do so. Dito naman po, hindi po dapat tayo nagsiswimming na mag-isa dahil kailangan po natin ng guide or makakasama. Hindi naman po natin masasabi yung biglaang problema. Siyempre, kailangan po na meron tayong kasama na mag-guide sa atin or tutulong sa atin in case po na mangyari yun. Pangapat po, stay out of the water during thunderstorm and other severe weather. Dito naman po, kailangan po nating umiwas sa tubig pagka may mga bagyo, thunderstorm, dahil kalimitan pong pinagtatamaan ng mga ganong sakuna is almost water. Maari po itong makapahamak sa atin. Next naman po, don't exceed your swimming ability. Know your limits and stick to them. Dito naman po, alam po, lahat naman po tayo may kanya-kanyang limit or kakayahan lumangoy sa paglangoy. Dito po, kung ano po yung kakayahan natin, wag na po natin exceed yun. Kung kaya lang po natin hanggang 6 feet, hanggang doon lang po tayo. Wag na po natin exceed na pumunta pa po ng 10 feet kasi po maaari po ito makapahamak sa atin or pwede rin po mag-cause ng loss of life. Next po, check the water level before diving into a pool, ocean, pond, or lake. Dito naman po, may mga ilog po kasi tayo, karagatan na mababaw, minsan malalim. Kaya po kailangan natin laging chinecheck yung water level. Baka po pag talo natin, mababaw lang pala yun, tumama pa yung ulo natin mo. Mag-cause pa to ng kapamakan or problema. Next po, dive with your arms and then finally overhead and your hands together. Dito naman po, kailangan po natin gawin yung tamang way sa pag-dive para po hindi po siya mag-cause na magkaroon tayo ng kapahamakan or maano po yung mga ulo natin dahil kailangan po safety po and yung tamang way po ng paggamit nun. Pang-last po, don't dive into unknown bodies of water like lake, rivers, or in ditches. Dito naman po, kailangan po natin laging chinecheck yung paliliguan natin dahil hindi po palagi safe or pwede siyang pagliguan. Kaya kailangan po lagi siyang chinecheck dahil po maaari itong mag-cause ng pagkalunod or pagkapahamak ng bawat isa.
Now, I want to talk about preventive measures regarding boating safety. First thing that we have here, it says, check weather and water conditions before leaving shore. This is the first and primary thing before leaving the shore, checking the weather and water conditions first. So the reason for this is so that nobody's gonna panic when it's cloudy and storms or waves get strong. Because you check the weather first. Okay? So if you wanna be double safe, triple safe, if you know that it's a bit cloudy and you still wanna do island hopping, if you wanna make it back alive, then you're not gonna leave the shore. So this is the most important part before you do boating. Check weather first and water conditions. Second thing we have here is don't drink and boat. I think don't drink is enough. Don't drink and boat. Third, insist that everyone wears a Coast Guard approved personal flotation device or life jacket while on board. So I give emphasis here on the word Coast Guard approved personal flotation device. It needs to be Coast Guard approved. Because some flotation device doesn't work. It makes you drown more. Next, Always tell someone where you'll be boating, when you expect to be back, and what your boat looks like. Just tell them, okay, I'm gonna leave at 2 p.m. and I'm gonna be back at 3 p.m. So with that information, if you if you're not back on the time that you said, then they will do something. Because what if we don't want accidents to be happen. What we're doing is that we're just preventing accidents, and we want to know how to keep you safe during, also in the midst of the accident. Okay, so for example, you got lost and nobody knows about your whereabouts. So if they don't know that you need to be back at 4 p.m. and you're not back on 6 p.m., they're not gonna worry because they don't know about your whereabouts. So first, okay, friend, I'm gonna leave at 2 p.m. and I need to be here at 4 p.m. So now they know that, okay, something's wrong, then they will look for you. Always tell someone about your whereabouts if you're gonna do boating. Next, keep Coast Guard approved visual distress devices such as pyrotechnic red flares, orange distress flags, or lights on board. So again, we don't want accidents to happen, but if it happens, if it occurs, we know how to handle it. We know how to stay alive. Okay, so just bringing red flares, the thing in movies when they do bang, the lights happen in the sky. So doing that, it alarms or it signals that somebody needs help, somebody needs assistance, somebody's lost. So for example, if you did island hopping and that you got lost, having red flares is really a big help. So bring it with you guys. Last thing, don't carry more passengers than the maximum listed on the boat's capacity plate. If the capacity of the boat is just 12 and you brought 17 people, I think you know what might happen. Yup. The capacity of the boat, or the maximum, for example, 12, and you want to insist, no, we're 15. Our group is consist of 15 people. I think you're not gonna make it alive. So if you're gonna be safe, again, what you're doing is preventive measures about boating safety. So just follow the maximum listed on the boat's capacity plate, and then you'll be safe. Thank you.
For the water survival, we have 4. Number 1 is stay calm. So alam naman natin na staying calm is crucial kapag nasa tubig tayo, kasi if not, there's a possibility na maging worse yung situation natin sa tubig dahil nagpapanik tayo. Instead, dapat we have a clear picture na nung gagawin natin beforehand para malaman natin if there would be unforeseen situations na mangyayari. In fact, we can practice din naman breathing techniques and flotation para makapag-manage tayo in stressful water situation. Number 2 is evaluate the situation. So this includes yung pinaka-location kung saan ina-identify natin yung potential risk na mayroon sa scene para maiwasan natin. For example, may nangyari and then nagstay tayo doon sa shore, or then may strong currents ang tubig na pwede tayong madala pa agos. So pwede rin dito yung mga marine life na nagpo-pose ng harm like jellyfish or whatsoever. So ina-avoid natin yung mga ganong klaseng bagay. So gaya ng nabanggit kanina, it is important na i-determine natin yung location para alam ng rescuers kung saan tayo hanapin if nag-ask tayo for help by any means. If you have vessel or anything na pwede nating magamit for communication. And yung location na ibibigay natin or any landmarks na makikita natin doon sa mismong location would be helpful para malocate nila tayo. And it is advisable din na i-check muna natin yung weather patterns or yung conditions doon sa mismong lugar na pupuntahan natin, kung saan natin i-conduct yung water activities para alam natin yung pwedeng mangyari and we know how to respond. So number 3, signal for help. So one of the signs na nakikita natin usually na ginagawa if may nanghihingi ng tulong sa tubig is wini-wave nila yung hands nila, pero not in a typical way kasi 'di ba yung iba may pa-splash pa ng water and nagmo-move sila up and down and minsan nag-shout pa sila for help. So yung pag-wave nila ng arms nila, pag nakita natin na parang strange or parang in a repeated manner, is a highly visible signal daw na nanghingi sila ng tulong. Pero pwede rin naman tayong gumamit ng mga signaling devices like yung whistle, dapat alam din natin na magkakaroon tayo ng interaction sa tubig, or in some places na malapit sa tubig, dapat we have knowledge or adequate knowledge on how to elevate ourselves in times of water hazards. So number 4 is stay hydrated. So here, if we think of it, bakit madedehydrate, di ba nasa tubig na? So this simplifies na we exert pa rin motions that may weaken us or make us feel tired as we swim. And also, kasama dito yung factors like age na nabanggit kanina, health, sunlight exposure, and such like. So even in water, we can say na we can become dehydrated. So we should bring water bottle or dehydration kits when engaging in water activities.
Position in swimming. A critical element that significantly impacts both performance and efficiency in the water. The flotation position refers to the alignment and posture that swimmers adopts to maximize buoyancy while minimizing drag. This position is essential not only for optimizing speed but also for maintaining energy conservation during prolonged swimming sessions. Understanding how to achieve and maintain the ideal flotation position is paramount for swimmers at all skill levels. To achieve an effective flotation position, swimmers must focus on the alignment of their bodies. The head should remain in a neutral position, while the eyes are looking straight forward. The torso should be flat and horizontal to the water surface, while the hips must remain elevated to keep the body from sinking. By engaging the core muscles, swimmers can create a stable platform, allowing them to glide through the water with less resistance. Additionally, the position of the arms and legs plays a vital role. Arms should extend forward while legs remain close together, promoting a streamlined silhouette that enhances buoyancy. Furthermore, mastering the flotation position not only enhances physical performance but also fosters a greater sense of comfort and confidence in the water. For competitive swimmers, this translates to improved race times and greater overall efficiency, whereas for recreational swimmers, it promotes a more enjoyable experience while minimizing fatigue. Ultimately, the flotation position serves as the foundation upon which swimmers can build their techniques, refine their skills, and attain their individual goals in this enduring and fulfilling sport.
Next is the treading water, another essential water survival skill. Here's a detailed explanation. Treading water is a technique that allows you to maintain an upright, vertical position in water without sinking. It's crucial for staying afloat and conserving energy while waiting for rescue or help. The important this is unlike the flotation position, which is horizontal, treading water keeps you upright, allowing for better visibility and making you easier to spot for rescuers. It's particularly useful in situations where you used to remain alert and visible. Steps. Here's the step. Step 1. Head above water. Maintaining your head above the waterline is paramount for breathing and visibility. Step 2. Circular arm and leg movements. The coordinated circular motion of your arms and legs generates the upward force needed to counteract gravity and prevent sinking. The specific movements require practice to master efficiently. It's not a simple, instinctive motion. Step 3. Stay afloat. The combined action of Step 1 and Step 2 keep your body afloat and prevent you from sinking. The skill development correctly points out that treading water requires practice. It's a learned skill, not innate ability. Consistent practice is essential to develop the strength, coordination, and technique necessary to tread water effectively. for extended period. Formal swimming lessons are highly recommended for learning proper technique and building stamina. While treading water keeps you afloat, it's more energy intensive than the flotation position. The constant movement of your limbs requires sustained effort. Therefore, it's not ideal for long-term survival situations where energy conservation is paramount. It's best used for short-term situations where visibility is critical. In summary, treading water is a vital water survival skill, but it demands practice and understanding of proper technique. It's valuable addition to water safety skill set, complementing other survival methods like the flotation position.
One of the essential survival swimming technique is to wear a proper attire when it comes to swimming. Kasi we have a proper clothes na pwede natin gamitin sa pool. Ito yung magagaan na tela. And yung hindi siya denim, hindi siya skirt or polo, and jogging pants or pants. We have the rash guard, the one-piece cloth, the swimming bottom, yung vest, yung bikini, and yung beach shorts like that. It also advisable to remove your shoes and ma-loosen your clothes. Kunyari, walang top or just konting tela lang. It helps reduce the weight of the clothes and increase your mobility in the water. Narito po ang conserve energy. Yung conserve energy po ay napakahalaga para sa ating survival swimming at para rin po sa ating kaligtasan. Narito po yung mga kahalagahan niya. Para po makatagal sa tubig, para hindi madaling mapagod, para manatiling kalmado, pagpapanatili ng init ng katawan. O sa halip po na paglangoy na uubos ang lakas, mas mainam na ang paggamit ng side stroke o back float para makatipid ng enerhiya at mabuhay ng mas matagal sa tubig. Sa madaling salita, ang pang-conserve po ng energy habang lumalangoy ay nakakatulong sa kaligtasan sa pamamagitan ng pagtitipid sa lakas, pagpapanatiling kalmado, pag-abot sa tulong ng hindi nauubos ang enerhiya.
Against the current. If you're caught in a strong current, like a rip current at the beach, don't try to swim directly back to shore. Swimming straight against the current will quickly tire you out because it's very strong. Instead, swimming parallel to the shoreline. That means swimming along the beach, not directly toward it. Currents are usually narrow, so by moving sideways, you can get out the current more easily. Once you're free from the current's pull, you can then swim back to shore safely without using so much energy. This method greatly increases your chances of escaping safely and avoid exhaustion. Breath control. Take a deep breath and exhale slowly while swimming. It helps you remain calm and reduces the chances of panicking, gasping for air, or hyperventilating. It's an important skill that helps you feel more in control in the water.
Okay, for the last key on safety in the water, we will be discussing the navigation. Navigation in swimming is the skill of maintaining direction and awareness of your location in the water. It involves using visual cues, body awareness, and sometimes specific techniques to stay on course, especially in open water, environments like lakes, oceans, and long pools without lane lines. There are key aspects of navigations that includes first is the sighting. Briefly lifting your head to look forward, identifying landmarks, buoys, or the pool end. Efficient sightings minimizes disruptions to your stroke and body position. Second, body awareness. Developing a sense of your body's alignment in the water, uneven strokes or breathing patterns can cause you to drift. Third, stroke counting. In pools, counting strokes between landmarks can help maintain a straight line. Fourth, we have using natural cues. In open water, the sun's positions, wave patterns, or distant objects can serve as guides. And last, compass usage. Compass usage is for long-distance open water swims. A small waterproof compass attached to goggles or wrist can provide precise directional information. With the navigation, it is also crucial for several reasons. First, of course, your safety. In open water, staying on course prevents getting lost or drifting into hazardous areas. Next is efficiency. Swimming in a straight line minimizes wasted energy and distance. Third, we have competition. In races, accurate navigation ensures you follow the shortest legal routes. Fourth, we have training. Practicing navigation in open water prepares swimmers for race condition and builds confidence. And the last one, enjoyment. Knowing your location and direction enhances the open water swimming experience, reducing anxiety and allowing you to focus on the surroundings. With this, mastering navigation involves practice in various conditions and developing a keen awareness of your body and the environment. It's very vital skill for any swimmer venturing beyond the confines of a standard pool.